Hello and welcome to another edition of Shaking Up Kenosha. My name is Jeff Roberts and I'll be your host for this series of programs. This program covers the events and happenings in and around the city of Kenosha, Kenosha County, and sometimes we venture out into the state of Wisconsin, and we can do it for the national level. Since this program's inception, we have tried to bring you the right view. New and exciting news, events, and happenings in and around Kenosha. At times we've been very successful in giving you what you had asked for. The topics have ranged from college professors giving clear and frank discussions on the American Constitution and the Bill of Rights to interviewing Miss Wisconsin, both of them. We discussed shows that are being held in our area, such as the Taste of Wisconsin, the Tall Ships. We interviewed local musicians and listened to some of their music. Just like the clip from the local musicians. Hope you enjoy.
Break my heart anyways, just leave the pieces when you go. And you're not making up your mind, it's killing me, wasting time. I need so much more than that. Yeah, 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 keep on walking. The big black horse said, look this way. Hey, lady, will you marry me? I said, no, 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 no. You're not the one for me. No, 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 no. The one for me. My heart had a problem in the early hours, so I stopped it dead for a beat or two. Had some corn out, I shouldn't have done it. Won't forgive me after all these years. So I came upon a place in the middle of nowhere with a big black horse and a cherry tree. Won't come back cause it's all so happy. Now I got a hope for the world to see. Yeah. I do. He said no, 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 no. You're not the one for me. No, 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 no. You're not the one for me.
We talked to Chief John Morrissey about Kenosha Police Department, how it's staffed, the challenges contemporary police officers face, and in his opinion on the events affecting Ferguson, Missouri, and how that affected them so drastically. Here's John M.'s clip. Start our visit with the police chief and go on from there. Our first question was, what is it like on a typical day for the police chief of Kenosha?
My job and my size chiefs, I think, are pretty much administrative. Most of what I do is in this office, behind the desk. Right now is budget time, so lots of administrative stuff trying to get the budgets. You know, you're working on quotes and that kind of stuff. The other thing is all financial matters go through this office. So I have individuals who will order things and sign off when they come, you know, inventory. But the actual sign off that it's being approved to pay come through this office. That's all handled by me personally. That gives me a better handle on what the budget is, how much we're at. So, of course, the other things that come with it, and they're not daily, thankfully, but you know, citizen complaints, discipline issues, those kind of things all come through my office as well.
Are those addressed specifically to you?
Well, no, I was going to tell you, they're vetted long before they get to me by, we start at a shift level, depending on what the complaint is, but the majority start at the shift level. That's how we do it here. That recommendation goes to the inspector. The inspector gives his recommendation, which goes to the deputy chief, and then it comes to my desk for final approval. I have let go of some of that control. If it's a written warning or below, the deputy chief has the authority to do that. But anything that rises to the potential level of a suspension always comes to my desk. So I think that's a good practice in that I don't know the third shift officers or the second shift, even day shift for that matter. This way their shifts, who they work with on a daily basis, know them better. They get to weigh in on the validity of this complaint. Plus, some of them may have even been at the complaint. So the rest of the days, you know, are citizens meetings. My calendar is normally pretty full, whether it's meeting with other department heads, department staff, or just citizens that you know, have issues in their neighborhood or issues with officers or those things. So the majority of it's meeting. I will say, and I think the officers would say, there are times though that I go out on the road. If my day is light, and not only is it good for me personally to get out of the office once in a while, but I'm one of those chiefs, I'm not afraid to take calls. You know, I'm not going to the domestic violences and anymore, things like that, you know, where there's reports, but if they need backups, I'm certainly willing to go and do.
Our first question for officers Doug Wargo and Kelsey Cesar was, what prompted you to become a police officer to begin with?
Unlike Chief Morrissey's history of his getting into law enforcement, I can say, I can't tell you why exactly, for one or two reasons, there's a lot of reasons, but I always wanted to be a cop. When I was a kid, I just had a feeling that that's what I wanted to be. There's not a big history of law enforcement in my family. I have a lot of military people in my family that did various things in the service, but I can just honestly say I knew when I was very young I wanted to be a cop. It's like they were always, whatever was going on, the police were there. They always seemed to be in the mix of things, and it's something I always wanted to do, and I'm glad I did it.
Okay. Kelsey, what about you?
I have a similar, I always kind of wanted to be a cop, but at the same time, I was tossing up the fire department and being a police officer. And I know it's funny now that I think of it because of the joking that goes on between the two departments, but what...
Joking? Isn't that called competitive rivalry?
That's a way to put it too.
But what actually got you started as a police officer?
What really got me started was, first, for the obvious, that I wanted to help people. I'm guessing that's why a lot of people get into law enforcement, because they have this go-getter mentality. They want to be that person that people look up to, and that's the kind of person that I wanted to be. And on top of that, I have family members who are also law enforcement officers, and just their stories and the things that they told me inspired me to pursue that dream further.
Our next question was, what is the highlight of the police chief's day?
The one thing that kind of stands out for you.
Well, I guess I would have to say that at 4:30 when I'm leaving here, if I haven't had any major issues and there's been no major crime, that truly, and again, may seem weird, but that's the highlight of my day, is that, you know, I didn't have people coming in here with significant issues either internally or externally. That really is my highlight, is if I can go home at 4:30 and, you know, we didn't have any major incidents, and like I said, both internally and externally.
I then asked Kelsey, what is her day like on the job, from beginning to end? How does it start? How does it end?
My alarm clock starts off the day bright and early every day. Get up, I come to work, get dressed in the locker room as quickly as possible to get to tab and roll call. Kind of depending on the day that the officers are having, everybody's up and chipper and talking with each other about their day before and joking around, and it's a nice atmosphere. Sergeant or lieutenant comes in, he does roll call, tells us, you know, the news for the day, what happened the night before, anything we have to look out for, and then gives us our areas. We go to our cars, check out our cars, make sure we got all the equipment that we need in it, make sure that we're ready and prepared to go out there. Sign out the car, and then I'm on the road. And I'm on the road with my FTO officer at the moment, and he
what
just,
is FTO?
Field training officer.
Sure.
He goes out on the road, sits in the passenger seat with me, and just guides me. He trains me, and if I have questions, he's right on top of it. Yeah, I'll tell you how to go. He doesn't get frustrated so far with me. He's very, if you got a question, if you need something, just let me know. I'll be there. I'll walk you through it. I'll do whatever I can. He's very open about, hey, you want to take this one? You think you can handle this one? And he'll back off and let me be contact. So it's the whole day is different. Every day is different. It's a learning process. Some days he'll take the calls, some days I'll take the calls, and lots of writing. And then at the end of the day, he says, you know, good job, this is what you need to work on, I'll see you tomorrow, and then I'm off to the night until I come back the next day.
And how long have you been with the Kenosha Police Department now?
I've been with the Kenosha Police Department since August 1st, so it's about 2 months. Been on the road for a little over 2 weeks, maybe about 2 weeks, and the first month was a lot of in-house training and policies and procedures and things like that to get us prepared to go out on the street and handle the real calls. So.
When did you graduate from the academy?
I graduated from the academy, I believe it was May 5th of this year, so a couple months after I got out of the academy, because I was self-sponsored, I was hired with the Kenosha Police Department. So thankfully I put my application in like a little over a year and a half back, so that when I did get fresh out of the academy that I could go right into it.
I then asked Chief Morrissey, when did you decide to do police work, and why police work to begin with? His answer was pretty interesting.
Well, I think my story is a bizarre one compared to most that would hear. I started back in 1981. My grandfather had passed away and left me a gas station. I didn't grow up over here, so I'm not from this part of the state. And small town, there were 1,200 people in the city. I grew up out in the county, but the local police chief said to me, well, you know, you could always go to the academy if you don't like working in a gas station. Prior to that, I never even thought about law enforcement, or I don't have anybody in my family that's in law enforcement. Somebody thinks there may be a great uncle that was a constable somewhere way back, but so back then in '81, I said, I suppose I could do that, and went to Kenosha, Wisconsin, which is where the academy was, and been involved in law enforcement ever since.
As a parent, I know one of the most important times to be with your children is when they aren't feeling well. That's when the love and comfort of a family is essential to a child's well-being. For For many families, there's a place they can go to find the support they need.
Ronald McDonald House Charities programs provide that supportive environment so families can be together while their children are dealing with serious illnesses and undergoing treatment. It's a home away from home for families in need, giving them more time for hugs, kisses, and quiet moments together.
You can volunteer your time at a local Ronald McDonald House and help a family in need by cooking a meal or hosting a movie night. You can also drop your extra change in an RMHC canister.
These contributions, both large and small, help more than 10,000 families every day. Proof that a little help goes a long way. Today is a great day for all of us to show our support and help give families in need more time together.
To find out how you can get involved in your community, visit rmhc.org.
I also asked Chief Morrissey about the Kenosha Police Department requirements and specifically about the academy, the police academy at Gateway. We also compared and contrasted the State Police Academy in Madison and the Milwaukee Police Academy as references.
Well, first I'll just give you the basics, and that's where we have to start. The basics are, we take the state law. You got to be 18. You have to have a high school diploma or a GED. You have to speak English. You have to be a U.S. citizen. You can't have any felony convictions, and you can't have any domestic violence convictions. Okay. That's the basics. So if you don't meet that criteria, you can't apply. But from there, again, we let everybody apply. There is a state law requirement that says within 5 years of employment, you have to have 60 college credits or an associate degree. There's only 3 departments left in the state, myself, Madison, and Milwaukee, that allow people to apply without that. Otherwise, like the sheriff, they require you to have that before. I think there's pros and cons to both of those, but I believe there's people that are in the military. I believe there's people that couldn't afford to go to college when they first get out, and they have some jobs that they're holding those jobs because they need the money. It's not that that's where their career was. And then they decide, I really want to be in law enforcement. I want to come here, and they didn't have that chance, or they didn't take the opportunity to get that. So I believe you let them, if they make the cut, then they deserve to be here. So that's the basics. After that, we have the normal written test and then the oral interviews. And then I guess everybody says my interview is the toughest, and I don't know that I agree with that, but I don't ask them about situational issues. I don't ask them about their education. I don't ask them about that stuff. That's all been vetted before it gets to me. My interview is on who they are as a person. So as I tell them, and I'll tell you, I have 20 to 30 minutes, that's it, that I spend with this candidate. Who are they as a person? And Kelsey can get into that if she just went through it recently. I really dove in to try and figure out. I try and see if they'll change their answers based on either my response or my look, like I would disapprove or I approve. Stick with your answer. I'm trying to figure out who you are as a person. And I talk a lot about who they are as a person in very personal relationships. The question deals with this very blurry line of when you keep somebody's confidence and when you break it. Mm-hmm. That's important to me. As a cop for many reasons. Can you maintain confidence? But I'm looking in the personal level. So if the person you sit next to in roll call every day is having problems, are you strong enough to say something? Are you strong enough to get that person help? Because that's who I'm looking for. So it's at my level a very personal interview. Again, and I know that throws off a lot of the candidates because they expect it's going to be, when can you kick in a door? When can you make an arrest? That stuff they'll all learn in the FTO program. We have a very robust FTO program. So, and then once you get there, in legalities, the Police and Fire Commission, and there's 5 of those in the city of Kenosha, they by law have the authority to hire. And they're the only people. I make recommendations. They could say, I don't like this. Now, they don't do any interviews or anything else, so what they're seeing is just a packet I provide. But in legality ways, it's really them that's hiring them, not me.
Next, I asked Doug and Kelsey about their police academy experiences. What were the differences, the length of time, and what did they study, and so forth.
I was trying to figure out how to deal with everybody that calls you in their worst time and their worst moment of their life, and then they call the police in an attempt to like put everything back together. The academy itself, I'd say a lot of that's, I mean, basic human behavior, everything everybody has to deal with, and how you can try to get them resources or help. But I'm listening to the time involved. When I went to Milwaukee Sheriff's Academy, it was 8 weeks. So about 320 hours of training. And of course that, from the sounds of it, has increased quite a bit, which I think is great. The biggest thing for me was the role-playing scenarios. That was amazing to me, you know, because again, not having any police to talk to or anything, and you'd see like, holy smokes, you know, how am I going to fix this, or what am I going to do with this, and the anger and everything. It was really something. It was an eye-opening experience, along with the grueling runs and the push-ups if somebody thought you looked at them cross-eyed or something. So, I mean, I enjoyed it, but it was a lot to deal with. They hit you with a lot of stuff.
Okay. Kelsey, what about you?
As far as the law enforcement academy, I enjoyed my weeks there. I met a lot of people that I still keep in touch with. I got hired with one, which was awesome. He was one of the guys that I was like, I would love to work with him one day. Like I said, I enjoyed the academy. It was a lot of different instructors that came in and gave their perspective on things. I loved that they were all in the field or had, you know, retired from the field, so they really knew what was going on when they were talking about the things that we needed to know. And as long as along with what he was saying, the scenarios were awesome. If you could just get over that step of, hey, everybody's looking at me, I don't know what I'm really doing yet, things like that. If you could just get over that fear and put yourself out there and be that contact officer in the first scenario, it really did help you along a lot. It helped me along. It made me more confident. So when I did get hired, that, okay, yeah, I can talk to people. I can handle things. You know, even if my training is still, you know, not to where it will be, I can still handle myself, and I'm confident in that.
Well, you're still going through the training too.
Yes.
Once you get through the police academy, that's just the beginning, right?
Right. Yes. That's just the very basics. They give you a slate, and it's a general thing with the Gateways Police Academy, and like I said, just the scenarios with instructors and other students, and just getting that feel for, okay, yeah, I can actually talk to people. This is okay. I'm not scared.
Doug, was that the same for you, where you came out, you were like a probationary officer then until somebody could figure out, yeah, we're going to hire you permanently, or, nah, we're going to have to let you go because you just don't cut it?
It's interesting in listening to Kelsey, because when I came on, you were hired by the department, and then an opening for the school, or they tell you where they're going to send you, and I went to Milwaukee Sheriff. But it's interesting because you complete the academy and you make a lot of friends, and like I say, I learned a lot. It's very impressionable. I mean, I was 20, I just turned 24 years old. Then you come to the police department, and they give you uniforms and this and that, and you show up at roll call, and then everybody's like, oh, you know, we're going to get stuck with this new kid, you know, because you got to ride with somebody. But that's the difference between Kelsey and I, because, and thankfully, over 28 years later, you'd ride with whoever they, you know, stuck the rookie with, and you had evaluation forms. Some of the guys would say, like, I ain't filling out your form, and you'd end up filling out your own evaluation, they'd sign it or not. And then there wasn't really a lot of structure for training. It was like, well, you think you can go out and not get killed and come back at midnight, you know, and not smash up the car. So at some point in time, which really wasn't much time went by, somebody had you a set of keys and say, we only got 7 guys working tonight, congratulations kid, you soloed.
Kenosha has also gone out of its way to bring you some of the stories that you've asked for. I personally think we have done a very good job of that, even when we've had some difficult or challenging times trying to schedule guests to appear on the program. Sometimes the guest schedules were totally in conflict. Sometimes the guests themselves were reluctant to come on the program for whatever reason. To be honest, this has been an interesting 5 years, to say the least. From the time that I took over Shakin' Up Kenosha as its producer and host, I've always found it to be a great way to showcase the local talent, to talk to the community leaders in the community, because it takes all of these people to help make a difference here in Kenosha. Not only the way that our city is run, but our everyday lives as well. I've always tried to bring the story to you, the guest, and keep those stories fresh. Major networks bother with local guests, even though they have a story to tell. And it's about our community, why we love to live here, and what we feel is important for Kenosha and the surrounding communities. From the media outlets, it's usually more the same old garbage, who's infamous for doing something abnormally stupid or dangerous, or who did something great that was worth mentioning, but you only get a 30-second soundbite. Sadly, it's in the form of a very quick video or just a soundbite with a picture of the person, and it usually lasts between 15 and 30 seconds. I don't know about you, but I get sick and tired of hearing neighbors telling a talking head that the perp was quiet, kept to themselves, never caused any trouble in the neighborhood, yada, yada, yada. Or that the victim loved life and didn't deserve what happened. No, no one deserves to get killed. Or the really stupid question from talking heads is, what was it like to do that? What were you thinking at the moment it happened? How will this affect you in the future? What's going through your mind right then? Really stupid questions, one and all. Asked by lazy journalists, not informative to the view of the viewers at all. If you ask me, it's just more fluff and filler. That is why I tried to produce and hosted Shakin' Up Kenosha the way I did. I did this program that way because I wanted to see a program about the local community. But as it usually does, after 5 or more years run, the show has run its course and will come to an end this year. December, actually, will be the last one. It's been a great run, and I've enjoyed giving you the stories you've asked for. Or they were out there and we just had to go find them. We covered a wide range of topics and will highlight them over the next 3 programs. So December of 2016 will be the last broadcast for Shakin' Up Kenosha. These were stories that needed to be told. On behalf of the crew of Shakin' Up Kenosha, we hope that you'll tune in to the remaining shows and see what you may have missed, or just review one of the topics we covered that you liked in particular. After all, you, the viewer, are the reason why we do this. And I have to honestly say, it's been a privilege to do so. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Shakin' Up Kenosha, and we'll tune in next time for more highlights of the last 5-year run for Shakin' Up Kenosha. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.